Cameron Stewart of Locked On Baylor. The Big 12 just robbed the SEC of a blue chip quarterback, the Little Rock, Arkansas native Walker White, who chose Auburn out of high school as a borderline five-star depending on who you ask, and now he's a Baylor Bear.
Mm-hmm. How about the number 3 dual threat quarterback in the class when he came out of high school? So
pretty good.
It might need to be a composite 5-star, but we're talking about a top 5 guy as a dual threat, which is more than one threat, Drake. So to me, that pretty much projects as one of the best quarterback recruits in America. And this is a big get for Baylor. He's not going to start next year. In fact, he probably won't see a ton of time because they bring back Sawyer Robertson, who I think is the best returning quarterback in the conference. But it gives him an avenue to know, hey, I'm going to be the starter in 26. Almost certainly. I'm going to go and learn under this guy the same way that Sawyer Robertson did in 2023 and became one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12 after that. So you come in, you play, again, an exciting Jake Spavital offense, one that's going to let you sling it quite a bit. And lest we forget, Baylor was on his list like in the final 5 when it came to his initial college decision. In fact, the final 3, it was Clemson, Auburn, and Baylor. They were pretty late to the party. This was the Nova Sad debacle, and they had to kind of get in on some 2024 quarterbacks. And I was worried when his name came up that he would go to Houston because of the Sean Bell connection. But it turns out he's just a big Baylor guy. Just a big Baylor guy.
I had Austin Novosad on Locked On Baylor twice. And he looked me in the eye and said, I can't wait to be a Baylor Bear. And has he gotten a snap? Has he gotten a snap at Oregon? What does this say about the SEC? You took a 97 rated player. He will be the second highest rated recruit in Baylor football history from a quarterback standpoint, at least. What does this say about the SEC that a school like Auburn just lost him?
I think it's bigger than SEC fans realize. Because, you know how this works. There will be Auburn fans that will say, oh, I wasn't really our future. We love Deuce Knight, and Deuce Knight's one of the biggest recruits they've ever gotten. So maybe there's some truth to that. But when this thing started, I thought I had the ESPN thought of like, yeah, but there are SEC teams looking for quarterbacks too, looking for young quarterbacks, quarterback depth. I'm talking schools like Alabama and Ole Miss. And Georgia might be looking for one now with Jaden Rashada out. So there was certainly some interest from the SEC. We didn't hear about it because Walker White wasn't one of those guys who, tweeted out every place that he got an offer and interest from. But certainly there would have been some SEC schools being like, hey, Walker, you can go be Baylor's backup or you can come be Ole Miss's backup with Lane Kiffin. And so to know that, to have that context and have him pick Baylor is big for obviously our program and for the Big 12, because if this kid comes in and stars, it's going to prove that, hey man, you can come into this conference and make a real name for yourself. Because again, let's point to the guy who's starting over him this year. Sawyer Robertson started in the SEC. He was a backup in the SEC, one of the biggest recruits Mississippi State had ever gotten. And he doesn't see much time there, much like Walker White at Auburn. He comes into a school like Baylor, and now he's got a real shot. Like Sawyer Robertson will go into next year with some Heisman hype if he plays well early in the season against those big opponents. And if Baylor wins 10 games, they're in the college football playoff discussion. And that's not a crazy leap. I know there are people who will be thinking that. It's not a crazy leap. And so Walker White sees that blueprint and could set a blueprint himself for SEC or Big Ten guys that think, I'm 4 or 5 stars out of high school, I got to go to the SEC. Whereas you look at a success story like Sawyer Robertson's or possibly Walker White's, or I don't know, the Heisman Trophy winners, and you say, I can make a name for myself in this conference and we can win big things in this conference.
Cam Scatterbo.
Move up, but yeah.
Move up, but there are other guys. There are guys who moved around that I would use as examples showing that the Big 12 is attracting the best athletes from the FCS or the mid-major level. And as you mentioned, the best athletes from the SEC level. You're getting the best of both worlds in the Big 12, it's like a purgatory, a transfer portal purgatory. Okay, you didn't get yours at an SEC school. come here, come compete, former 5-star. You're still just as athletic. Utilize this conference as a vessel. And hey, you were the best player at North Dakota State last year. Come be the starting linebacker at Kansas State, or come be the starting linebacker at Texas Tech.
Or, you're a JUCO tackle machine at linebacker, Keaton Thomas. You wanted to prove to people that you could play Power 4. How about you now come to us and be an all Big 12 linebacker year one? Yeah. It's all over. It happens every year, man. You look up that all Big 12 list or look at those guys playing in the Big 12 championship game, and their fingerprints are all over it, this blueprint that we're talking about.
Money. How much it seems like Baylor's got a lot of it. How much of this is money when it comes to not just Walker White, but the transfer portal additions in general for the Bears?
I think it's,
they didn't necessarily have to outbid an SEC team, but the money was at least comparable, if not outbidding SEC schools that wanted White.
Yes, and I think what it comes down to with everyone in the Baylor transfer portal is that it's not like a huge percentage of the decision, like a massive percentage of the decision went into money, because Baylor's not handing out a couple $1,000,000 like some of these other schools are. But I think Baylor having a sign of intent of like, yeah, we're going to pay you. We're going to pay you $500,000. Yeah. Like, come in, because they are getting those guys who are making those next steps up. I mean, guys from, Alabama doesn't count with Kobe Prentice, but Fresno State and FIU. And I talk about Keaton Thomas from JUCO, or Ashton Hawkins, their third leading receiver from Texas State. These guys where you say you're not making any money there. We're going to show that we want you to come play. We can't offer you $1,000,000, but we can offer you $400,000. You're not getting that at Texas State or whatever the number is, right? You can come in here and star, and yes, we will show you that we want you here by paying you. And they certainly did it with a starting quarterback this year that didn't work in DeQuan Finn. The numbers I heard were nearing $1,000,000. And so it is something where it's definitely a part of it. You can't sit here and say it's not a part of it, but Dave Aranda certainly has an impact in terms of the relationships that he and his coaches make with these players. And now you throw in a money aspect too, and a promise that, hey, we can win some games, unlike a couple of years ago. It certainly helps. So yeah, you're not going to win a bidding war against the SEC powers. Baylor's not there. In fact, there are very few teams in the Big 12 that I think can do that. But the commitment to actually going towards NIL. And that's the same for schools like TCU and Oklahoma State as well.
I'll leave you with this.
Please.
DeQuan Finn. Which is probably the best way that I can ask that question.
Yeah. This is not a knock, but his best place is probably somewhere like the MAC, where he's going again. He's the MAC Player of the Year. It was something that, in terms of optics, Baylor probably needed to do. Like, I do sympathize with this. They're coming off a 3-9 season. The quarterback leaves. I don't think not just the fans, but the coaching staff knew what they had in Sawyer Robertson at that point. And it was like, you need to go out and get a guy that can lead this team and give some excitement to the fans and the donors, and saying that this is going to get better. We got this kind of guy, again, he's not coming from the SEC, but I give you the MAC Player of the Year. I give you this pretty cool highlight tape and we pay him $700,000 to come here. Like, that's probably what something like that needed to happen. And unfortunately, out of it, I think they probably needed to start him at the beginning of the year because of that price tag. But I guess it's all's well that ends well, truly, with finding out that Sawyer Robertson is a legit awesome quarterback.
He's good at what he does. It was his mom's birthday recently. I want to wish her happy birthday, the entire family. Hope they had a fun and safe birthday. My birthday month.
Get you a hog hat.
Is in January.
The whole family a hog hat.
The Blind Side.
Yep.
Turns out they were not great people. They were not great people.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, I believe when they filmed that, Nutt was the head coach at Ole Miss.
Yes.
But
right?
It was Ed Orgeron who had, and I believe he may have been fired by the time the movie was released. Ed Orgeron had to wear the Ole Miss shirt because for historical accuracy, and Nick Saban was in an LSU shirt. That's crazy.
People forget.
Lou Holtz, South Carolina.
With real feathers.
in the movie. And is it Pat Dye?
No, it's probably Tuberville at Auburn.
Is it Tuberville?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He was the coach in 04 when they were undefeated.
That feels right. Wow.
That's Senator Tuberville to you.
What a cast of characters. And then, yeah, that's it. That's all.
Tommy Tuberville and Craig James, the only Republicans that could lose in Lubbock.
That's Cameron Stewart. I was telling somebody the other day about the time that Mike Leach put that guy in the closet.
Craig James' son, yes. Yes.
It's just like, you got a concussion? I don't know. Put him in a closet for 12 hours. Just
get. And I imagine like 30 seconds later, he turns around from the drill. Are you not in the damn closet yet? Why are you here, not in the closet?
I can't.
Oh man, love with Mike Leach, man.
Like, we gotta fire him now, right? Like, yep. We probably have to be put a
Leach comes into the office. He's like, "For what? The closet thing? Really?
Because he's got to go to a dark room.
I'm just trying to help the kid out." God, I love Mike Leach, man.
At Real Cameron Stewart, or subscribe with Locked On Baylor wherever you find your podcast and on YouTube. This has been, it always will be, Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. A Locked On Baylor and Locked On Dose Grande crossover.